officially chasing us away are beetles. Today we're doing something a little bit different. I've got a very sick car in my fleet, and it's been quite sick for a few months, so I have got a new motor lined up for my FG Beetle, and the FG is a four-wheel drive, belt drive, so it has no center diff, and you can't put a bigger motor than a 30.5 without some serious modifications that I don't feel are necessary. It's a pretty light car as far as things go. So what I've got set up is a DDM order, and I'm going to build an ESP 30.5 motor for it. Yeah, let's just have a look at the stuff that I've got, and I'll show you the box of spares that I have. Well, from the strip down of the last time I had my FG out. Okay, let's have a look at those. Right, so this is the leftover bits from the 26 2-bolt. You see the little 2 bolts there. So what I wanted to show in here was that. So there's a bit of modification going on to get look at that, to get the motor to fit in the FG, and this is all RTR, right? So there's a little bit of modification going on, and here is the other modification that I'm going to have to do, is that there. Look at that, right? That's like a whole chunk missing out of the clutch housing. So what I've done is I've decided to stick with a stock crankcase. So this here is just a stock Zenoa 4-bolt 29cc crankcase, and it comes with everything. And like in the box, there's absolutely everything that you need. Quite interesting though, instead of a rear seal, a clutch side seal, they have got a seal bearing. So it comes with everything in the package that you're going to need. There's the 4-bolt, some extra hardware, and a flywheel side seal. So that's everything in there that you would need. That is just a stock setup, really. That blurb goes with the head. So that all goes back in there. And then over here we've got a 30.5 ESP kit. It's a 4-bolt kit. Comes with absolutely everything in it as well. It's got a wrist pin bearing, washers, and the little retainer clips in there. It comes with a ring and a head gasket. It comes, the one box, let's get this out, there's the little head. You can see that porting that they've done in there. So you can see the machine marks on the side there. So, and the only other stuff I saw on the exhaust side, they have machined the top half. So they've changed the exhaust port timing. So that was quite interesting. And then the one box that's the piston over there. And then the other little box here's the piston. And the other little box is a spark plug. The previous motor was a 26 2-bolt, so I'm pretty sure that a 30.5 mod motor is going to really send me. Here's my, this also comes with the ESP head. So this is a +2mm crank setup. And then I've got everything, clutch, shoes. I've got a starter port because I've got a brand new Zen starter going in there. I've got a CY clutch. I've got CY clutch hardware kit. And this is all DDM ordering stuff, eh? So why I chose the CY kit over the Zenoa, it has those holes there are bigger. So that's pretty cool. So the hardware is a little bit more more meaty, I guess. Got some exhaust gaskets. I've got an a carb spacer. I've got a clutch plate bolt. I've got a brand new Killer Bee to go in there as well. This is from the previous build. That's just the insulator. Right, so I've got a little bit of work ahead of me, and I'm going to get things rolling, and then we'll start up again. Right, so I have got the sealed bearing in. I've got the clip in behind there, and I've just got the rest of that bearing to get in there, and I've already got that one in. So there's a seal that goes there. We're going to put that seal in a bit, but what we need to do is we need to pull that in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my clutch puller. I'm going to use a washer, and I'm going to use a nut. So that's a size 10 and a size 10, and I'm going to do is I'm going to go like that. We need to make that a bit longer. Out of the way. Okay, put it through there now. We have a look. Right, so can you see the bit of the thread sticking out there? Right, so there you can see I've got the washer on there, the bearing's not all the way in. I've got my clutch puller on that side, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a spanner on there and a spanner on there, and then you tighten this one down and it pulls the bearing in. It's quite easy and quite effective. So once I've got those bearings in, I've got a seal on the other side there, and then basically it's just assembly. Right, so I've got everything prepped. I got my seal in there, got my bearings on the other side, got my gasket on. I've got this motor comes with a tiny little shim that goes on the flywheel side. So there's my little shim over there. So yeah, so I've got to put those together, and on the other side I've got my sealed bearing in, put in the crank, and so I've got everything together. The crank moves really nice inside the case. I've got my clutch housing on. I have used my torque wrench to torque everything down, and I did this over here, 7.8 Newton meters for the crankcase, and then over here I did it 4 Newton meters for the clutch housing. Next step is I've got to take a little Stanley knife and just trim off the top end of the gasket there, so that, I don't know if you can see it there, I'm sure you can. Look at that. Yeah, so I've got to trim that little bit off there, and then I can get my head on. I get the piston on, get the head on, and then basically a long block. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked. Little bore build. Yeah. Okay, so I've got the clutch to go next, and like I said, this is a CY clutch, and what you got to look out for is the arrows, the directional arrows. So you can see there's one and there's one. Not on the other side though. So whenever you're putting in your clutch, you look that way around. And I thought what I'd do is I would take advantage of the clutch, the cylinder not being on, to get the clutch shoes on. And what I'm going to do is get the spacers on like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that and just put it right there, and then I'm going to fasten the clutch on without having the cylinder and piston stop. So I'm going to put that there, and as I tighten it up, the crank is going to just trap that just there, and then I'll be able to get my torque settings on the clutch shoes, and it's a 7.8 torque on those. Okay, so I've got the piston out, and there's a couple of little things that you need to do. There's a clip that goes in there, it's that clip, and the opening must either face all the way up or all the way down. If it's a little bit to the side, sometimes they can work their way out, and if it does come out, your head kit will be toast. The other thing, okay, so there's my clip. The other thing is that pin there. That pin, the opening of the ring must be on either side of that. So when you compress the ring, you can get it into the cylinder. And I put the one clip in, so when you come to stick on the piston, you can push the wrist pin and the bearings and the retainer washers through, and it's held on one side. So then right, so I've got my my ring compressed on there now, or compressed in. I got my head on. I didn't show you, but there's a little arrow on top of the piston, and the arrow must always point towards the exhaust port. So you've got to get those orientations right. But now that I've got everything, the ring compressed on there and everything, it's just a question of sliding the head on, getting those head bolts in. Right, so the head's on, and I did an 8 Newton meters torque on the head bolts, and you do in like I do a crisscross pattern, tighten, 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 tighten until you get the click. And now we can see our little piston. Okay, so got my card underneath the piece of card underneath the coil. I've got the magnet facing up so that the coil's pulled down into the flywheel. I've got the flywheel bolt on. I've got my killer bee attached. I've got my tiny little spacers for the coil on. Looking good, looking good. Okay, well, I've got everything done. I've got the fan cover with the ESP sticker on it, which is quite nice, adds a little bit of a touch. I got a starter on, oiled and put on a fresh filter. Got my carb on. I've got the killer bee sticking out the side. So yeah, that concludes the build of my little 30.5. I still need to stick on the crankcase outers, and then in that box over there is the gear plate, pinion and spur gear and exhaust, which I still need to put on, but that we won't bore you with that. In my next vid, I hope to get it out and get it started, and we see how it runs. Thanks all for tuning in, and I hope somebody got something out of it. Remember to like if you like, don't like if you don't like. Hit that subscribe button.